Hello again, witchy people. I'm quite buoyed up about something. It was this whole idea about being rejected, if you like, for writing in someone else's blog. And then I thought, there are a lot of us witches out there who feel very excluded because we know our paths are very different and quite unique. Even if we follow a specific tradition, we are not necessarily traditional in that tradition. And some traditions are very, very eclectic and unique anyway. And really, we need to learn from each other and teach each other. So I'm thinking of setting up a blog site where you log on to read other people's blogs. But first of all, I need to get some bloggers interested. Now, I have set up a test site which is attached to my Wix account, and I'm going to call it United Witchery. So I'm going to get my son down in the next few days and see if he can help me out with the whole, because I can't do computers. This is about as good as I get to being computers. I can do a video for, so I'm really thirsty. I can do a video for YouTube, and that's about it. I can set up websites, but when it comes to contributors and inviting people in, I'm not advertising anything, I swear, cover it up. Yeah, I'm not very good at that. So I'm this is sort of like just an idea that's kind of developed, and I been sat here thinking about it, and I thought I've got to get online and put this out there just to see if there's any people interested. Now, I know I've only got a few followers, and I'm not doing this to get followers. I'm doing this to expand a group of witches who do feel that they are unique, and they want a place to put up blogs where other witches with similar paths who feel that they might have something in common can go and read about blogs and read about, you know, for instance, me being a hedge witch and what I do. You know, okay, hedge witches are secretive by nature. Something's fallen. I'm going to ignore that. You know, and there are certain paths that are very open anyway, but there are so many. I mean, I was looking at someone's blog the other day, and I think she's into her path is an Egyptian path. I think she called it Kemetic witchcraft. I'd never heard of it before. I'd heard of Egyptian witchcraft, but nobody that actually followed a true Egyptian path in a modern way. Never really seen it before, never heard of it before. And I wondered how many others like her there were. You know, this woman is pretty damn amazing. Her knowledge about ancient Egypt, she's really done her stuff because obviously it's important to her path. But I thought, you know, how does she get this information? How does she contact other people like it? And you do a search for Kemetic witchcraft, and there's not a great deal. There's not, and although there is information out there, you can't connect to real people. Do you know what I mean? There's information out there, but you can't go one-to-one with someone and say, can you explain this a bit more? You know, or I want to know about a certain aspect of this, that, or the other. You know, someone might ask me, being a hedge witch, you know, if I can't hear or see or feel spirits, how do I communicate with them? And there are ways of opening doors and keeping yourself safe. And you know, it's not just it's not something that you're just born into. I know a lot of people think that traditional hedge witchery is something you have to be born into, because you have to have this gift of being able to see, hear, or feel spirits. Well, you don't. You know, it's something you can train yourself to do in the same way you can train yourself to meditate. You know, that sort of thing. Not that I would know how to train someone to do that, but there are incantations and certain divination forms that can help you. You just have to have a bit of faith in yourself. You know, there are some paths that, I mean, there are quite a few Christian witches out there, but I don't hear them talking very often. I don't see blogs about it. And I think partly it's because they feel uncomfortable, because they feel like they're going to be ostracized by either pagans or by Christians. You know, they're in this sort of like halfway state where they may not be accepted by either group. And I think that's wrong. I think everyone should be accepted. You know, everyone has their own point of view. But like I said, if these paths are very unique, how do you get to learn about them? If this path is the right one for you, how can you take bits of this path and make them your own? How can you learn from someone if no one's sharing? So I'd really like to set up this blog site and get a few bloggers interested. I mean, there are some people that I'd really like to get on board, but I'm not going to name names. I'd really, really like it. If you are interested in being a blogger, this is not something you're going to get paid for. It's just something you're going to do for the love of doing it. Yeah, and you know, get together, witches of all different paths, getting together and sharing information for everyone. And I think as well that's going to help for us to accept each other, you know, because although we don't like to admit it, there are a whole group of us that don't accept other paths. Not necessarily don't accept, don't understand. And because there is a misunderstanding there, you know, I mean, it's like, for instance, I always thought that okay, all Wiccans, no, let's get this right. All witches are pagans, but not all pagans are witches. Apparently that's not true. And I haven't quite got it in my head, because I haven't spoken. I've seen one person on YouTube explaining why they're a witch but not a pagan, and I'm trying to get my head around it. And you know, I'd love for there to be someone else to, you know, to get together and have a conversation, a blog fest, if you like, and really put this in really simplistic way that other people can understand, so that someone else out there might say, that's me too. You know, as a hedge witch, I don't work with deities. It's not something that's in my path. And you know, if there's anyone out there, there must be some hedge witches out there who don't know they're hedge witches, and they're trying desperately to fit into some other path, and they haven't quite, you know, got that. It's not quite there yet, and all they need is to see something and to say, that's it, that's what I am, you know. So I'm quite buoyed up about it, actually. I would really, really love to see if this is something that could get off the ground. Now, I know that Wix do blogger sites where you log in and you become a member of the blog site, and but you have to be listed. The owner of the site has to list you as a contributor for you to be able to write blogs. Now, like I said, I'm not too sure how it works yet, because I've done a test thing and I'm going to see how it goes. But anyway, so if this is something that you're interested in, and you think, even if your path isn't unique, and you know, you think your way of doing things in a certain tradition, like I said, is not necessarily a traditional way of that tradition, and there are things that you'd like to talk about that you find easier or more accepting in yourself, and you think there may be others out there who feel the same way, you know, that could be something you could write a blog about. And it doesn't have to be a couple of thousand words. It can be 100 words. It can be 50 words, you know, as long as it gets to the point. You know, I don't want to say you can't mention this, this, and this, or you can't, you know, you can't submit a blog unless you have so many hundreds of words and all the rest of it. It has to be what you're comfortable with. If you use art in your witchcraft, or craft in your craft, you know, if you, for instance, I can't use tarot, cannot use tarot, but give me a teacup and some tea leaves and I'm well on there. You know, there are all these different things, and yeah, it's something that I'd really like to get off the ground, something I'd really like to look into. And you know, I mean, I think we're going to need sort of like maybe a core of maybe 10 different writers. I mean, I know there are certain paths that won't like to join in. I mean, I doubt if there's very many Wiccans who do high magic, because that is a very specialized, and you know, you have to be so well trained and well practiced to follow that path, and it's not something you can really deviate from. You can add your own correspondences and deities and such like, but it's a really, it's a tough path. You have to be dedicated. But obviously garden witchery, hearth witchery, green witchery, sea witchery. I only know 2 people who practice, who are sea witches, and I don't know them. I've heard of them on YouTube. You know, and it fascinates me. You know, how do you incorporate that into your path? What path did you start off on? You know, how, you know, there's so much, you know, there's so many questions you can ask. You know, do you, you know, swap things around, you know, sort of like, oh, instead of having, oh, I don't know, crystals on your altar, do you have certain types of shells? Do they have meanings? You know, and is your totem animal an animal from the sea because you're a sea witch? You know, there are so many questions that, you know, I don't know the answer to because I'm not a sea witch. You know, I can't even answer questions totally about hedge witchery. I can only answer them as I see them. So if there are any other hedge witches out there that think, yes, I'd like to join in that, come on. You know, I mean, and I don't want it just from one country. So not just England, not just America, no, all over the place. The only stipulation that I have there is I'm not very good at languages. I can speak a little bit of Italian, a little bit of Spanish, and a little bit of French, and I do mean a little bit. And I could go so off course here. I've got to tell you this story. I think I've mentioned before, my eldest child, my son, his girlfriend is French, and her parents came out to visit when she graduated. And we were sat in, I think it was Costa. We were sat in a Costa coffee shop. It's all like just after she'd had her graduation, and we were talking. And her mum doesn't speak much French, speak much English. She just likes to listen to the conversation. But her dad, he's passed away now, but he passed away last year, I think. Anyway, her dad was very, he loved to try and speak English and get involved in the language and everything. And we were talking about how my son would look good with a moustache, a bit like an evil villain, actually. And I said he would look very good with a moustache. And I don't know what the French for moustache is. And Celine's dad said, moustache. And I said, yes, moustache. I don't know the French. And he said, moustache. And I said, yes, but I don't know what the French is. And Kyle, my son, slapped me around the back of the head and said, moustache, mum. French for moustache is moustache. Oh dear. Okay, enough of that. Totally off topic. But like I said, this is how bad I am at languages. You know, Google Translator is my friend. Unfortunately, the people that I send off, you know, this is what Google Translator said to me. They're not my friends. It's like what you just said to me. So, English speaking would be better, and I don't care if it's American English or UK English, any kind of colloquial English. You know, it is what it is. but that would be fine, unless you can try and translate it. But like I say, Google has its own translate button at the top of the page. Anyway, I rambled on way too much. So I'm going to go and check back on my test site and have a look. I'm going to try and log in as someone else and see what happens, and see how far I get, and see if anyone else is interested in being, you know, part of this whole blog process. And I'd really like it if we could all sort of like get together. And I know there's, you know, there's YouTube, and there's Blogger itself, and there's Facebook, and we can all get together on Twitter, and I say Instagram, but I don't have an Instagram because I don't know how to put it on my phone. So I don't have Instagram. This is how bad I am with computers and technology. I am a complete and utter, it's not even that I'm a technophobe, because I'm not frightened of it, I just can't do it. So that's my idea. And I know I've waffled, but I'm quite excited about it. I'm quite buoyed up about it, and see how it goes on. And like I said, if you're interested and, you know, you'd like to become a part of and help me create United Witchery, let me know. That's it. Thank you for watching, witchy people. Bye bye for now.